Alright guys, knife drama. Should I make a whole playlist called knife drama? It's probably something that I should not partake in, being that I'm kind of part of like the community. I have my own knife brand and I probably shouldn't get involved in the tiffs, the little fights of other knife brands, right? I should probably just try and remain neutral and sell an excellent product at an excellent price. But I'm not a very neutral guy. Let's talk about Hinderer knives. Now, as much as anybody, I have always looked up to Hinderer knives, and I didn't know anything about Rick Hinderer, but his products as being essentially top-tier production pocket knives, folders. I think that's fairly fair. Maybe I'm not a big folder guy. I'm a big fixed blade guy. So this isn't exactly my realm, but when I thought of Hinderer, I thought of a step up from ZT and Spyderco and Benchmade, you know. And maybe that's not the case. Maybe I was wrong. Maybe I was right. But what I can say is that Rick Hinderer appears to be a douchebag. So let's back this all up here for a second. With where I first started about hearing about Rick Hinderer and started kind of having a bad impression, bad taste. PM2 OG, dude on Instagram, had some questions about lock bar stabilization, and he was posting his responses on it, and he was asking questions of Rick Hinderer in their group about whether or not it was pointless or not, or worked, or whatever else. And his questions seemed fairly relevant. And Rick Hinderer and all of, I guess there's a Hinderer cult going on here. There's so many knife cults, I can't keep up with them all, you know. But, wow. They all act like giant douchers. So, nothing really came of it. Okay, you know, lots of people think I'm a giant doucher. I get into fights with people a couple times a year. It gets public. I say some things that are nasty. Sometimes I say some things that I don't mean. Usually I don't. Usually I mean what I say. I mean to mean what I say and say what I mean at all times, but my temper gets the best out of me occasionally. And so, you know, as long as nobody's really throwing any punches, who cares? From me personally, most of my confrontations have come from people in the knife industry stealing from me. And that pisses me off. Not all of them, but a lot of them. Some of the biggest ones. And I feel like I have the right to call people out for being douchebag thieves. But this is completely different. So what happened is my boy from Transparent Knives, I say my boy, he probably doesn't even know who I am, but I follow him. I like what he does. He's a very talented dude. Tested a Hinderer knife, and it tested well below the advertised Rockwell hardness. So I believe it was advertised as being a 62 HRC, and ended up being about 58.5-ish. And it was, he tested it over and over and over and over again. And once again, Rick Hinderer treated him like crap. Okay, you know, I understand, you know, when we become defensive of things, we can act a fool a little bit, and it's easy to become defensive of your brand. It's part of who you are. I tell people with my products that I'm selling myself. And it's easy to become defensive of your product if you are so closely tied to your product. So I get it. But here's where the real douchey stuff comes in. This is turd bag levels on the level of Bussy and Cold Steel that we have not seen in quite some time. Rick Hinderer sends him a cease and desist letter. That's where I draw the line. If you steal stuff from somebody or you start a legal process in the knife community for simple little crap, you are a douchebag. You have way too much money, and you should probably just focus your money and attention on making the best product that you can possibly make for the best price, getting it out to the most people, whatever the case may be. Be proud of your product. Holy cow. So, I've got the cease and desist letter over the screen right now, and it's embarrassing. Wow. So, guys, one thing that I have heard about Hinderer knives is that ZT makes a better Hinderer than Hinderer. Has to do with freaking detent strength and this and that and the other and whatever. And actually, people are probably arguing about such finite differences in what they like in their folder that I wouldn't even have any idea, because I'm not that fancy. I just like my fixed blades. I like the comfortable handles and edges that hold a long time and knives that don't break or chip. That's what I like. And these guys get into lock bar stabilization and detent strength. Somebody told me that detents fail all the time. I don't know what are these folder guys. You know, I go to Blade Show and guys are flipping out, you know, $6,000 folders. One guy's like, hey, so you use your knives? Yeah, me too, dude. Totally. I'm a user, right? So this is a little bit outside of my wheelhouse, but what's inside of my wheelhouse is just freaking people who think that there's such an industry powerhouse in the community that they are just going to force people's mouths shut because they don't like what they say. Before it was anybody calling their knife steel San Mai because Cold Steel patent trademarked the name San Mai. We all still call it San Mai. Don't be a wanker. Bussy sent out all kinds of cease and desist letters to anybody who had a lanyard hole forward of the grip. So people started doing lanyard holes that were other than a circle to get around it. Stop. Just stop. But this, sending a cease and desist letter because you tested the guy's knife, it ended up being a little bit soft, and you can't handle discussions with this dude. If you are so big that one of these little guys tests your product and it's subpar, and you have to punch down with a cease and desist letter, you are very insecure, and the reason you are very insecure is probably because your product is not worthy of the reputation that it has gotten. Some pretty nasty stuff here, guys. So what I would encourage you to do, most people who get a cease and desist letter, like most of the people that meet resistance when they have a message, like anybody who deals with Black Rifle Coffee, Jared Taylor sends me messages from Black Rifle Coffee trying to intimidate me into stop making videos. The other people that he's intimidated, and I know quite a few of them, they shut up and they changed their stories. Heavy duty country. But, you know, most people, they get a cease and desist letter or they get a little nasty message or whatever, they shut up. They're quiet forever. But Transparent Knives is starting a GoFundMe trying to raise $15,000. He's going to continue to do what he's doing. He's going to hire a lawyer, and he's going to cover his butt while he's doing it. So freaking hats off to Transparent Knives. I love what this dude is doing. And freaking screw Hinderer, man. I mean, there may be a time in my life where I'm like, man, if I wouldn't have made that video, it would have made the progression of my brand a whole lot easier. But you know what? That's not really how I do things anyways. I'm going to shoot it straight no matter what. And if it floats, it floats. If it sinks, it sinks. There you go. Check out Transparent Knives. I believe he's primarily on Instagram, but what I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm going to put all of the links to him and his Instagram in the description box below. You can go join in the fun if you would like. Apparently there's a lot of this going around Facebook as well. And as much as I like folders, I guess I thought Hinderer would be on the list at some point. I kind of liked some of his fixed blades too. Why? Why support a brand named after a wanker? Like Cold Steel Knives, you could laugh at Lynn Thompson and you could be like, man, these guys are douchebags because of these cease and desist letters. But they're such a massive brand that you're not really just supporting one D-bag. I don't really like Cold Steel, but it's just a brand, right? But Hinderer is named after Rick Hinderer. The guy is active with his brand and just defecating all over himself. Like, what are you doing, dude? You think that's like professional? Like, oh, I'm gonna prove something by sending this cease and desist letter. Either own your problems or prove that there's no problems and carry on. Because if you didn't just defecate all over yourself, nobody'd be talking about it and it'd be forgotten in a year like everything else. Like Disneyland can be freaking diddling kids regularly. Disneyland employees can be arrested every single week for diddling kids. Disney cruises can go to Epstein's Island and nobody cares 1 week later and everybody's talking about Disney Plus. Like, that is how short-sighted and stupid the population as a whole is. So if you've got a big brand like Hinderer, if you're punching down, you're not doing it because you need to. You're doing it because you're just a wanker. There you go. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. I hope that you have a blessed day.